We are Steve and Jill.
Together, we've been buying and reselling land since the 90s.
Our data-centric approach leaves our buyers asking, how can you sell it so cheap?
Here on the Land Academy Show,
We answer that and more.
I'm Jill DeWitt, and this is the Land Academy Show. Today, I am so fortunate to have our official Land Academy ambassador, Samantha Lathis, with us today. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you for having me. I love when we get together and have our conversations. So I'm excited for
Totally.
this one.
We do it a lot anyway, but it's fun to share with everyone what we have to talk about. And it's even nicer when it's just you and I.
I know.
Yeah. So Jack is not in the next room. He's actually in a different zip code. Is Carl there?
He is not currently in this building either. So
Oh, good. So we can speak freely, but we will keep in mind that there's a chance one of them might watch us. And I'm going to bet it'll be Carl more than Jack.
yes, definitely. Carl is always up to date with all the podcasts. So better
Very
watch
good.
it a little bit.
And it's even really more special, I think, because this is officially episode 2001. So
It's a great.
isn't that crazy?
It's
So
crazy.
I have this champagne bottle of M&Ms here, and I figured out how you get into it. And I got
Oh, there's like a secret door on it.
there is, so I don't have to unwrap the top.
Oh, nice.
So you can get into them. And yes, I have been eating them. So not a lot, because you can see it's pretty full. I've been kind of stealing. But if you look, you probably can't see. I'm in for
Oh, is it like your guys' face on it?
It is. Is that not
Oh,
hilarious?
that is so cool.
So there's a photograph. There's like 3 different ones. One says congrats on 2000. So, and then the third little thing is a sweet podcast microphone.
Oh, that is so cute.
So isn't that
That is
neat?
such a thoughtful gift.
Yep. That actually came from our Erin, who
Aw.
said that, Erin, Erin. So I love it, with this really, really sweet note that, wow, it is kind of, and I didn't even realize too, the number of, it's like a very small percentage that make it even over 50 episodes.
Mhm.
And here we are, gosh, 9 years later.
Yeah, it's a
Never
huge
thought.
milestone. It's great.
So I'm really happy and proud, and it's fun. I don't know if we're going to start. We'll have to talk about, as we're talking about this today, and we talk about, well, what are we talking about today? How about if I give you this subject? So Samantha and I are going to talk about women in land flipping, because not only, I believe, is land flipping still a niche, but
Mhm.
when you bring in female investors, now you got a niche and a niche. And there are more of us than you realize. And if Samantha and I have our way, there's going to be a lot more of us
Mhm.
soon. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And then as we get to, so our 3 topics today, we're going to describe what it's like now. I want to talk about, I'm going to share like my experience, since 10, 15 years myself as a female investor. I'll have Samantha share her experience in the last couple of years. And then we're going to talk about why we think we women are different. I'm going to go with different. I'm going to use a very neutral word. I'm going to say better, but
unique.
right, different. And then we're going to talk about, what we're doing and how we're prepping to help and grow this amazing female land flipping community that we've got, investment community, whatever you want to call it. Everybody understands land flipping. Some of the big terms, they don't get it. I'm like, all right, we'll just call it that. People get it. So what do you think? Like, what do you think it's like right now? And what have you seen? And I'm going to throw in my thoughts, like what I've seen.
I just go back to like when Carl and I had started with career path number 3. This was probably maybe 3.5 years ago now. And there was 20 people on the call. There was a couple pairs, a husband and wife doing their land business. And out of the room, there was like 4, maybe 5 of us that were women investors. And it was just kind of crazy that the investor world seemed to me at that point, because it was like my first exposure to this land business, that it seemed very like male driven and dominated. And fast forward like 3 years, and we're involved with all these other meetings like Land Academy Pro and even this last career path where it is the opposite. I feel like I am discussing land deals and reviewing land deals and talking about this industry more with women than with men. And so it's kind of crazy how we just all of a sudden like taken over this little niche. And I'm sure you've seen it
Exactly.
even crazier because I'm just speaking from the last 3, 4 years of when we were involved. And I'm sure when you started, it was even further the other direction.
Totally. I love it. Like even when I started doing, I was the only one, like the only woman I
Mhm.
knew anywhere when I started doing this with Jack, and even back in the day going to like auctions and stuff, there wasn't even a couple involved. It was just all guys. And I
Boys Club.
really remember too, it was so funny. We'd be at these, back in the day, here in Arizona. We even went to some in LA. Remember meetups were a big thing, and
Hmm.
that would go to some of these real estate investment meetups when there was any indication of like any kind of other property focus, we'd show up
Hmm.
there. And nobody, I always looked like arm candy on him. Nobody would ask me any questions. It was the funniest thing. There, I'm just like, so I would just kind of sit back and let him go. It was
Hmm.
kind of like all the guys talking, oh, look, he brought his wife or his girlfriend or his partner, whatever they thought. I'm just kind of there. And then every now and then I drop a little nugget and it was like, well, how do you know that kind of thing?
I've had a
It was
similar situation not that long ago. It was in the fall. There's a local group that just meets up and we just talk about real estate in general. Some people own houses and we do land. And so it's just a group of us that got together. And Carl actually started it or was part of this group for the last 3, 4, 5 years. And he would always come home talking about like, oh, this guy said this and that guy said this, and like give me updates on what everybody was talking about. And finally, he was like, why don't you just come with me? Like, you know, just as much real estate as everybody else. And so we ended up going, and he was shocked because it was the first time, the meeting that I went to was the first time that there was 3 other girls there. So in the group of I think there was 18 of us, there was 3 girls there. And at first us girls were kind of like, okay, let's see how these boys are going to act around us girls, see if they include us or not. And before you know it, we were the ones leading all the conversation. They were
love
asking
it.
us all these in-depth conversation or topics about like, what do you do for land? And then this other lady, she bought property and she was turning it into a wedding venue. And so they had all of these questions about like, oh, how did you do that? What permits did you need? And it was just amazing because it's like, wow, we really did know more than some of these guys. And they were asking us all these detailed questions and we had all the answers. It was
I
kind of
love
cool.
that. Isn't that great?
It was
I think
fun.
that's awesome. So yeah, so then even like, what? I can remember one, let's just say. I do remember one uh individual right when we launched Land Academy, and she had a PhD. I can't remember what it was, like some kind of macroeconomic, or like it might even be like a biology related. I don't know, but she was following us before we launched, and right when we released it, it was July 2015, she joined. And she's one of the reasons that we started the whole online community. She's like, okay, we need to connect.
Hmm.
I got some questions. I'm like, okay, we got this. And she wanted to remain staying at home
Hmm.
and have a nice, not have to go back to work and supplement her PhD income. I'll never forget that. And she was with us for off and on. And I can't remember her first name right now. It's hitting me because, but a couple years ago, I brought her up and she reached back out like, oh, I'm still here. And what she started doing is she quickly figured out what we're doing, and she went into like, she was doing like 1 or 2 deals a year. That's it. And she
Hmm.
was just making sure they would yield, $200,000 a deal. That was just it. She's like, and that's all I need. That's all I want. I'm like, this is great. And then I remember a couple of years later, more people coming in, like Bay,
Mhm.
Bay and some other gals, just slowly trickling in. And I never would have calls though. It's kind of funny, like when people book calls to be on Land Academy, I'm always like, is there any women? And now I'm seeing like, I'm gonna say definitely more than 25%, which is
Mhm.
big, of women catching on and booking the calls. And it's so great. And then when I have some of the calls too, though, it's nice. I do have sometimes the men are like, and my wife's here. I'm like, awesome, you're on speaker. I'm
Perfect.
like, great. I love it. And then I quickly pivot to them. So, A, I want to make sure, I answer everybody's questions. And
Mhm.
B, I want to pull them in
Yep.
because, as we'll talk about in a minute here, why we're different, there's some really valuable skills that
I
we
agree.
naturally bring to the table in this world. So I love it. And yeah, I've definitely seen a rise, and it was couples, it was all guys, then couples, and now I'm seeing, as you know, more women.
Mhm.
So why do you think, like I wrote three things down. I want to let you go first, Sam. Like, why do you think that we female investors, like, what are we different in a way that we just excel?
So I think that there's like one main point that I've been thinking about, and it is I feel like men are kind of like rush into things. Like they want to see the profits right away and they want to rush and they want to get this thing done and they're just go, 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 go. Speaking from experience, Carl is just like 100 miles an hour nonstop, just keeps going and
Jack,
going.
they're the
Yeah.
same on that. Yeah.
Jack is the same way. Like, let's
Yeah.
just get this going. Like, we should have done this yesterday. We should have done this last year. They're just so far
Yep.
into it that they don't take time to slow down and actually see the process. Where I think
Yep.
women have a better understanding that there's like little productive actions that if you repeat it over and over again, you'll start to see the success. And
Yeah.
one like example that I think everybody can relate to if you have kids is when you're watching your kid learn how to walk, it's very interesting because they'll try to get up on their own and then they'll fall down. And it doesn't mean they give up. They just go over to a chair and then they start using the chair as like a guide and they'll fall down again. But before you know it, they're moving from the chair to the coffee table and then they're taking steps on their own. And it's this like slow process of like
True.
taking little steps at a time and it results in like a big success of learning how to walk. And I
I
just
love it.
think
And then
that
if you have
that
a boy, then they
relates.
start scaling the fridge, but
I
that that
know.
that comes quickly. How did you get up there?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like, why?
yeah, exactly. And
It's
the girls are
totally
like, I'm
true.
not going to do that. So that kind of
Yeah,
ties into this. Yep.
it does. It definitely does. And I just
Uh-huh.
think that like it's the same thing with like starting a business. It's like you just don't have a business and then just run 100 miles per hour. There's little
True.
things that you need to do along the way. And I feel like girls are more equipped to being patient and trusting the process and walking through each of the steps, like little by little.
Yep.
Um, and I that's actually a little by little is actually like a saying in my house that we've implemented. It
Oh.
first started, if we could tell a quick story.
I love
Um,
this. Yeah, tell me, because this is a good one. I'm gonna remember this now.
it started with our honeymoon. So we went to Costa Rica and we stayed at this cute little hotel that I would consider to be like on the side of a mountain because this hill was massive. And it was called Poca a Poca. And so when we first got there, we're like, oh, that's a very interesting name. So we were talking to the staff and they're like, oh, yeah, it means little by little. So the way that the resort was built was it was actually a one-bedroom house. And little by little, the owner built out different sections and added on additions, and it turned into like this really cool resort. And it was on top of this hill. And so when we were staying there, we noticed that there was like the city center that was at the bottom of the hill. It was like a half mile and you could see it directly. And so we would go down there for dinner and drinks. And by the time the end of the night would come, you would have to climb up this hill, this like mountain. I
After
just
you're like,
remember
not only your
after
tummy's full from food, tell me you're probably like, woohoo, we've been having it's your honeymoon after
yeah.
all.
And we had like all these drinks and stuff. And I just remember like sitting down like mid-hill being like,
Oh, that's
how am I supposed to
good.
get up this hill?
How are we gonna get home?
Yeah, how are we gonna do this? And we were
Oh,
joking about it with the staff the next day because we just like couldn't get out of our mind of like, why would you build this resort on top of this mountain and expect people
exactly.
to go down the hill for dinner and drinks and stuff? And to their response was really funny. And they're like, well, yeah, when you're trying to get up the hill, you have to go polka polka. You have to go little by little and you have to go step by step. And they're like, and it just reiterates the fact of why we call it polka polka.
Hilarious.
And so we've adopted that in our household that like, you have to work at things, especially if
Yeah.
something's hard, like climbing up the mountain after a few too many cocktails.
Yep.
And you have to go slow, polka polka.
That's your family mantra. I
It
like
really is.
that. That's good. I love that. I was thinking about when you talked about women are used to these steps. So that's one of my things is why I think we're different is not only we're used to uh steps and we're used to multitasking too.
Oh
We're
yeah.
used to breaking things down, right? And having all these things. And then we're also used to slotting in things as we need to. Like, I mean, in our business, I'm trying to think of an example in our business. Well, I mean, you're posting a property. Say you're
Hmm.
sitting down right now today, you're posting a property for sale. We all know the phone's going to ring, and it's hard for people. And I want to say it's kind of easier for females for us to pivot. I can really easy stop this screen, pivot to this screen, take a
Hmm.
call, put together a deal, and have it all like have the whole conversation. I know you can do this too,
Yep.
have a whole conversation with the seller. I can be looking at parcel fact and I can be, making really having the deal and agree upon a number. And in 5 or 10 minutes, we all know what our next steps are. And I'm like, okay, here's what's going to happen. So-and-so's going to reach out to you. We're going to get escrow open and I've got everything I need now and we'll get with you tomorrow and, film. And then you hang up. And then in our head, like I've got my notes and stuff, I'm ready to go, but I can get back to my posting because
Hmm.
I got a timeline. I need to get this thing done. And then when I'm done, I can pivot back.
Hmm.
So we're really good at that. I know like in my house and on my team, the men are very different. They need to be uninterrupted in their steps. And it doesn't mean
Yep.
that it's anything wrong. It's just different. And I just think we're so used to that. I don't know if it's got to be nature. We're both moms.
It
So
has to be that
yeah,
and
we have
like
the
keeping a
experience.
schedule, just like knowing this is happening this day, this is happening then, like escrow closing and people going to look out at the properties and just keeping your life in order. It translates so much into the land business as well.
Totally.
I
Really
totally see that
does.
point. Different
Yep.
hats, scheduling. It's like, huh, doing that
Exactly.
already.
What's kind of interesting is a little side note. So we have 3 new employees coming on this
Hmm.
right now in this period, and 2 of them are women, and they're in high leadership roles. And these 2 women, I cannot wait what's coming. They're gonna like, make everything around Land Academy way more efficient. This is actually 2 parts. So they're coming in on the Land Academy side. I'm so excited. So that's going to be amazing. And then what's interesting is already on my land company side, and the same
Hmm.
for, I know for Samantha, our team, who helps close our deals and gets things done, it's women.
Yep, that is
So
true. And
it's
they're
kind of,
very good at their job and very
they
good at
are
multitasking and staying organized.
totally, they have their number. They have these escrow agents number, which I have to wonder if it helps that most of the time we talk to female escrow agents. It's kind of just the way it is. There are guys out
Right?
there I've worked with, but
I've
it's
never
funny
dealt with
how
a guy during escrow. I've
I,
only dealt with like women, which is so funny, but it's true.
yep. And so they're so good. And our gals, man, they'll close them early. That's the best part. I mean, I'm not to poo-poo men, but I have to think that if it's on the schedule, I know my man. How about this? I know my man and I know my team. And they're
Yes.
only going to work, they're going to have it all worked to meet the goal at the goal time.
Hmm.
That's kind of how they're wired. We're like, no, why do we do? Let's just get it done now.
Yeah. 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 Why
Anyway,
wait?
exactly. I was gonna say too, the second thing I thought why we're different is, and this is a big one for Jack said, you guys got to talk about this, which is how we're good on the phone. You know, women, our phone skills, I want to say, and our communication skills, that's just again nature. You know, I think that number one, speaking to a woman is obviously different than a gruff man, even a grumpy woman. You know, it's a little bit different. It's a little harder to get mad at us, you know, kind of thing. And I think that with our communication skills and how we are wired, we pick up on nuances
Mm-hmm.
that the men don't. Like I'll hang up if, you know, if Jack and I are ever on a call sometimes with the same person and we like even for a podcast, we'll finish a podcast and I'll go, did you pick up on this, this, and this? And he'll go, nope. So
I feel like
what are your thoughts?
Carl's the same way. I hear him
Yep.
answer the phone all the time. And just some of his like responses or like I'm just like, oh, I would have handled that differently. And I wonder if I would have gotten a different response. And
I'm sure you
the times
would.
that I do answer the phone, I feel like, wow, they're not nearly as angry with me than they are with you.
Right?
And I feel like I can have decent conversations and I don't mind. Obviously, there's wasted time, but I don't mind keeping someone on the phone and talking to them for 5 minutes. Where Carl, it's like, oh, you don't want to sell? Okay, bye. Like,
Right.
and he tries to get off right away. And it's like, well, maybe she had questions, or maybe the person had some questions before saying, like, oh, okay, I am actually willing to sell. Like, they made an effort to pick up the phone and call you. So at
Right.
least give them like 5 minutes of your time to figure out the situation.
Dig a little deeper.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be too. Lord knows we do have a lot of patience, more
Yes.
patience. That's not on my list, but maybe it should be.
Yeah.
So, you know, and the other thing I was thinking about why we are so, again, I'll just keep using the word different. I'm trying to think of a better word for different. Unique.
Unique.
Unique in our skill set. Here we go. Um, uh, is the way we come at buying decisions. That's my favorite
Yes.
one. I always think, and like there's a book behind me right now all about that. And there's scientific facts that, you know, like our heart rates and our our mind brain waves and our heart rates and all that stuff, the way that we look at things and make decisions on prices and what to buy on these
Mhm.
properties is a really important thing. And I I just see us female investors, sorry guys, I see us making really good, smart, sometimes a little better buying decisions. We're not gonna let our egos get in the way. We're not gonna
Mhm.
try to like, oh, we're not gonna, I don't need to reset the market. I don't need to hang my hat on that. That's not why I'm here. I'm here to,
Mhm.
you know, get these deals done and gosh, have a healthy profit that I feel great
Yeah.
and my buyer feels great and my seller feels great and everybody wins.
I totally agree. We have like this, I feel like it's like a gut instinct. Like, you
Mhm.
know, you know in your stomach whether it's going to be good or bad, and you just trust it. And I could pull up properties and instantly be like, oh, something's not right. And Carl will be like, it's great. Look at this, look at that. And then I'll pull up a couple things and he's like, oh, how did you get that so quickly? And
Yep.
it's just like, oh, I just have this feeling like I I can make these decisions because I just feel it differently than he feels it.
You know,
I totally agree with you.
you and I are so, we're so in
We are
tune. It's
so
the funniest thing. I gotta share. So very often we'll be on our Thursday member calls and I don't have control of the mouse on my side, but I'll pick up on things. Like will scroll down some of the details really fast. I'm like, saw it. And then I'll look to you and I'll go, did you see that in the legal? You're like, oh yeah, I saw that.
I'm
You know,
right
and
looking
Jack's like, what are you guys talking about? You know,
at
they don't pick up on those little details. And you and I we've learned and we remember like need to pay attention to that, like
hmm
undivided interest. You and I
Yep.
would pick up on that real fast and he won't even maybe scroll down to the bottom
Right.
to normally catch that. I'm like, it's
It's
so
there and it's important.
exactly. It is so funny. And you know what? You brought up something good. I love I'll never forget. It was probably 20 years ago, I'm gonna say. And I always stuck with me as I was listening to the Dave Ramsey show back on the radio before podcasts. And I remember a guy called in and he was asking his advice about some investment. And he goes in all the details about the investment and the ROI, and here's how much it's going to cost, and here's what we think is going to happen, and da da da. He had this 5-minute thing on it. And then the first question that Dave Ramsey asked the guys was, what does your wife think? And then like right there. I loved it. And Dave said, look, because he said these gals and their gut instinct is often right. He said, I would go with what your wife thinks. And I'm like, I knew it.
Yes. And that was 20 years ago before.
Right?
Yeah. That's like
Yeah.
very forward thinking.
Did you ever listen on the radio? You remember the I try to think if that was even AM. Now I'm really like going back here. So
Don't age yourself, Jill.
exactly. But it's so funny. I love that. Maybe that's us too. I've always been, I might look like like I have no trouble making knee-jerk good, I mean, let's just say a little bit wild decisions like, hey, let's go to wherever tomorrow. Okay, let's do it. We'll buy tickets and go. Like, did you really think that through? But behind the scenes, I am really conservative about money. Like the Sam and I, you're probably like me. When it comes to our deals, boy, I'm conservative.
Oh, very much so.
Sometimes too much. We've talked about this. Sometimes I don't pull the trigger on deals. I should have. And they come back and tell me, you should have got in on this one. I'm like, you know what? I guess I should have, but good for you. I'm okay with that.
I am too, just because I rather sleep well at night and know that the investments that I did make are something I truly believe in, rather than, just taking like this wild jump and spending all this money and not fully sure if I'm going to make it back. It's just, I am so conservative. I inflate all my numbers. And that's like, okay, worst case scenario, we're still going to make this. And if I'm okay with that, then I'll for sure 100% just go all into it, knowing that the worst case scenario I'm still okay with.
Yep.
And I think you've talked about that too. Like, oh, what kind of profits do you want to make this year? Now cut it in half. Are you going to be happy? And if so, like, then you're on the right path. I always love hearing that talk in Career Path about how we get into all those numbers. And I think you're the same way.
Exactly. Isn't that great? That's the thing too. It still keeps coming up now and then. There's a lot of people out there. So just to back up and give a little background, kind of what we're talking about, if you're new to this, like the way we buy property is we buy property. Some people might be saying, well, there's no risk anyway if I just wholesale the property and I'm running around with a piece of paper. That's partially true because it's not your money on the line, but the risk is you lose a deal. And I keep seeing that a lot, especially nowadays. I'm knowing why it's, in whatever Facebook groups I'm in, I keep seeing things pop up that people are, there was a guy just recently buy for 20, sell for 50, and he lost a deal because he started to market it as because he just has a piece of paper, equitable title, and then his buyer went around his back and went to the seller directly, and now he's out of the deal. And everybody's like, and what are you gonna do? You're gonna try to sue the guy? No, come on. Let's be honest. That's the risk you run that can happen versus the way Sam and I do it. Like, we're buying it, buy for 20, sell for 50,000. I like those numbers. And if I don't have the dough, I can call Samantha and all I could do is show it to her. Right. And Samantha be like, all right, I'll write the check. Done.
And same with you. I mean, we've sent out so much mail in the last month that we'll probably be calling you guys soon.
Good. Isn't that great?
There's a couple good deals that came across and we're just like, ooh, maybe.
You know what? One of these days we got to add it up. Like when you have time, Samantha, I'd love for you to say, if we bought every property, this would be awesome. Like are you looking right now? If you have a spreadsheet open, bring it. But if not, okay, we just sent out a 8,900 unit mailer. If every person said yes and we bought every property, it would equal this. It's It's
I
funny.
used to do that just to like play with it to see like how much are we actually offering. And I remember just the one, I think it was only, I don't know if it was like 2,000 or 3,000 units. This was a long time ago. And looking and it was like multiple millions, like tens of
That's
millions of
it.
dollars. And I was just like, that is nuts. Like that is so crazy that if you add up all these properties,
Well,
that it would equal that. But then you think about it and you're like, okay, so if I did acquire all these properties, the actual market value, like if I went to go turn around and sell it,
right?
like that would be cool too.
I'm gonna be conservative. Let's just say I set out a 5,000 unit mailer tomorrow, and I'm gonna spend, let's just say an average of $34,000 a property. That is 1.7 million. Is that right?
I don't know. I don't
It
have
seems
it.
low.
It does seem
Almost
kind of low.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, excuse me, 17 million.
That sounds right.
That sounds right. So that would be $17 million, which actually within Land Academy and Samantha and I, we could come up with $17 million.
We probably
That's
can.
not
There's
a
some, yeah.
that's not a hard number to hit. Now let's just say, all right, I'm going to divide that by 2. We don't want half of them. I like this game. So
I
this
do
is
like
good. So 17, I'm using a stupid little calculator. Don't Samantha's using.
it.
Samantha is right now in Excel, but I'm not that. I don't have mine open. All right, I don't like half of them. So I buy half of them. So that's 8.5 million bucks. And I'm gonna at least double my money. Let's just say I don't even do that great. I come in at 1.1 of that. That's awesome.
That'd be
Nine
awesome.
million $350,000 works for me. Does that work for you?
That works for me.
Well, we got 2024 squared away.
Yeah. And done.
That
Vacation.
was there we go. Thank you everyone for attending the Samantha and Jill 2024 deal budgeting meeting. So that's awesome. But that's really how you look at this stuff and how we budget and kind of plan. That's Land Academy. We have an equity planner, and this is really it. We just, what do you want to make this year? And then you
Mhm.
back into it, to really see. So these numbers we just threw around, we know it because this is we live, eat, and breathe this. But for someone coming into this, you could plug in like, okay, your numbers are great, but how about if I only want to make $500,000 this year, and this is how much time I have. I think I can do, 2, maybe 3 deals a month. Okay, no problem. We can show you in Land Academy, okay, let's plug in this number, back it up. This is how much, time it's going to take. This is how much mail you're going to have to send. And this is how much, yield you're going to need on each of those offers to do your 2 to 3 a
Mhm.
month to hit that $500,000. And when you look at it like that, isn't that kind of funny, Samantha? You look at it, you're like, well, now that doesn't seem so hard. Then you're like, well, shoot, let me make it 1 million then. Now that I know if
Mhm.
I just do one more
Let's
and
just
I
add a
bump
zero and
totally.
see where that comes up. But to your point, I love how like you can personalize that worksheet because it's not going to be the same for me as I started 3 years ago, as I started last year, as I'm starting this year. And it's going to be different for the next investor. And that's what's so great about that worksheet and other tools that Land Academy provides is that you can take it and make it your own and personalize it. And it can show you what is possible.
So like from like how often are you getting calls or signed purchase agreements from your, first couple mailers that you just kind of like you giggle. Like I'm not doing that.
There was one, and it was from I think it was like our fourth mailer that we started, and we got it like last December. So it was like 2 years old. And it was in a property that we wanted. It was in a flood zone. And like maybe back then we would have entertained it since we were so new to Land Academy and, just weren't quite sure of the deals that were possible. But now after we've had all this experience, we just looked at it and we're like, that's kind of funny. They must be really desperate. And then we just wrote them a nice email being like, oh, it doesn't meet our buying criteria. But that is so common. Just yesterday we got a a letter back and the offer expired last July. So it's almost a year old. It's like 8 months old. And again, that one was in a wetland, so we're striking out a little bit. But I mean, it's funny. You never know when they're going to reach out to you. It might be the day they get it, or it might be a year from now. And
Yeah,
the cool thing is your letter is out there right now,
totally.
as long
That's
as you're
the
sending
thing.
mail.
It's a personalized professional thing. I can't believe how many people, I think because it's not a postcard and it's not a pretend handwritten yellow pad. I crack up at all that stuff. I know you get
You
it
do.
too.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is so funny. But it's a very professional, simple, one page introductory letter and a purchase agreement, and people open them up, and if it's now is not the right time, it goes in their file. And they
Mm-hmm.
save these things for decades. It's hilarious. And then because someday when, you know, dad passes and, the kids open up the file, A, like, oh, we didn't know dad had this. And B, let's see if these people are still around because they want to buy our property.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it too, because some of them, especially some of our offers from the last, like just pre-COVID kind of thing, it's like, they come at us and me like, hey, I know this is old. Would you even entertain anything like this price? And I'm like, I'll pay that price all day long. I'd pay more than that now. But if you're good with this price, we're gonna make this happen. Isn't that
Right.
funny?
That is really funny. That is the one good thing about the old mailers too, is that the market always is improving. Well, for the most
Not
part.
always, but
Not
yeah.
always, but
Yeah.
for the most part, like if you have an old mailer from 2 years ago and somebody's like, yes, I accept this price, it's like, oh, well, hopefully the market has improved in the last 2 years and now this deal is a better deal and you could even make more on it.
Totally love that. So thinking about like prepping to without we're not going to share too much. Well, but we will. Like we're the final topic that Sam and I want to talk about is like really what we're doing right now. And and what I want everyone to know is that we are really prepping to not only help our existing female investors, but really grow the female land community. I am so excited. So I was just going to say the thing that I'll let you share some stuff, but I was going to share that what Sam and I are working on is not going to be, I don't see it as a whole separate thing. It's going to kind of layer on top of this
Mm-hmm.
foundation because, hey, we got 9 years on Land Academy and we were teaching before that, just unofficially kind of thing. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But it could always improve. And like we're talking about today, there's so many nuances and things that we want to do to promote and help some of our amazing already successful female investors excel. What if we did our own career path even? Just thought of that.
Like a women's career path. That'd be pretty cool.
I don't know. That might be
I'd
kind of
really like
cool.
that.
Heck, I kind of think our last career path was a
Yeah, I was
women's
gonna
career
say.
path. I think
I think
Carl
there's a
and Jack
couple
would say
boys.
that. Exactly. They're like, do you guys do that? Like we'll sit there, and everything. And Jack will write me notes like, you women don't need me right now. And I'm like, it's really kind of sweet.
That's why Carl always says that. He's like, I'm just here to support you because it seems like you know what you're doing and you got this. So let me know if I need to chime in.
Exactly.
All right.
Isn't it funny? It used to be that was like, I feel like that was my role, in Land Academy. We talked about last week on our 2000th episode. I'm like, I was never supposed to be here. I was never like
Mhm.
podcast wasn't my thing. I was a fill-in guest, like he would maybe include like I was while he was doing all this stuff, I was running the land companies. So and then here we are.
Taking over, ruling the
Right?
world. No, just joking.
Exactly. And you know what's great about it? Our men are not threatened by that at all.
Oh no. Carl's
Yeah.
like, just let me know when I can retire.
Yep, that's it. That's still going to be our line. We're gonna really make that. We haven't had the hats made yet, but we're gonna do something to retire your husband So that's coming. So what, what, what things do you think we could help with first or the most this year? What are your ideas?
Yeah, I think that we are doing an awesome job listening to the community to see what everybody's needs are. And I think that's where we're going with some of these new products with Land Academy, is that we really are listening and we really want to take your input and kind of build on top of it to make this a more I don't know what word I'm trying to describe, like a communal base, and like I can grow if you can grow, and we're all in this together, type of thing. So I'm really excited. I know I've been working a lot on a couple of the projects, which I'm really excited about. And it's getting to the point where Carl's like, we need to focus on other things too.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, I'm just so jacked about it. I can't wait to roll out these few products that we're
Me
working on
too.
and really just hit the ground running.
Same here. Yeah, that's like, I hate to keep, we're having our own little meeting here, everyone. So I hate to put some stuff on pause, but like you said about having a system earlier and,
Mhm.
we put them in, we could all, Sam, this is how we are. Sam and I could run right now and put out something and have it starting tomorrow. But,
Mhm.
you know, content and thoughtfulness of all that needs to be well planned out. And the people that I'm working on bringing in on the
Yeah.
support side are going to just make it so much better. We want to really be when we release this, look out. It'll be awesome. But what are we going to do with the guy? There's going to be guys. I haven't thought about that. So I I I I think there might be arenas. We'll let the guys participate. What do you
Yes,
think?
I think
Okay.
so.
All right.
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
But we'll still keep with some of our closed calls and things like that because it is different. We have different thoughts and different ideas. And I don't want to stifle any of our creativity. So, we're going to still keep some stuff separate. Sorry, Cindy Dean. Who is not really Cindy, but
Nope.
anyway, a hitchhiker that keeps trying to get into our gals thing,
He
and
needs a
we
better
appreciate
wig.
that. Exactly. So we'll come up with something like that. You know what? Little by little.
Little by little, polka, polka.
I love that. That maybe that's going to be your saying. Like, is it polka? Ah, polka. I love that. A long time ago, Jack came up with the way I just do transactions. It was really like winning over sellers and winning over buyers. He named it Jillify it, and so people still once in a while would say, I Jillified it. I'm like,
That's great.
so you can tell me if you want a different one, but I like for now, I think if we go little by little for you or polka a polka, that's
Yeah. That is like
that's
seriously like a conversation we always have at the house. It's like you're always trying to run forward and go super, super fast. And it's like, wait, why are we doing this? We know that we have to go little by little. So take a step
exact
back and be patient.
totally. So what else is going on for you as we wrap up? What else is going on for you this week? Any crazy deals coming in, or are you overwhelmed with, you just you said you have a mailer. Did it go out yet?
Yeah, our phone has been ringing nonstop, which is really exciting. So we're hoping something shakes out for that. Um, and so yeah, this year has been kind of weird, it's been like a weird start to the year where some of the properties that we had listed, they're kind of still sitting there. And I'm not really sure why. I feel like they're priced appropriately and they have amazing views and a lot of saves and stuff. It's just like I feel like there's like this stall. And so what we're trying to do now is we're trying to focus on ourselves and try to prepare and stay ahead and self-educate and just kind of keep our mindset in the right direction and keep moving forward during this lull. I feel like every industry and everything sometimes has lulls in there, and you just have to push through them in order to see the success at the end. So I
Are you
feel like,
worried about anything?
no, I'm not worried about it one bit.
That's good. Isn't that great? Once you, I swear, once this is my feelings, I feel like once you figure this out,
Mhm.
you're done. That's it. It's golden. And then you can
Right.
pivot to there's so many property types. Once you get in and understand what we do and you learn all this, there's niches within niches,
Mhm.
zip codes within counties and property types within zip codes and zoning things within that. Like,
Yep.
you could really, there's a nut, yeah, is it getting a little noisy in our space? Other people out there learning what we do. Yeah, but you know what? They don't do it like we do it. And I know they don't do it as well because I respond to some of those things and I get crickets, now and then. So it's interesting. I have one right now. I got to tell in on this. I'll let you know how it goes. So someone sent me an offer on a property, of course, that I long forgot about. It's like, I don't know how long we've had this dumb thing. And I'm like, I don't even know who this person is. They're actually not in Land Academy. So I'm like, all right. So I signed it, send it back. I don't know if they know who I am too. It was sweet because my transaction coordinator was saying like, I don't get anybody nowadays that doesn't know who Jill DeWitt is. I'm like, that's okay. So anyway, this person, they were asking a lot of questions and I'm like, stop it. Call me when I'm not going to entertain all your questions. You need to go do your own due diligence. You
Yep. Do your
claim to know what
homework.
you're doing.
Yeah.
If you want to follow through, let me know. And I got an email and it said checks on the way. Like they're sending me a check and all the documents by myself. I'm like, this is a little nuts. Like for me to sign it, notarize it, send it back. And they're trusting me on all this. And I'm like, this is a little loosey goosey to me,
That is,
right?
this is the first time hearing of all this because I
Is-
haven't received one of those yet.
Isn't
How do
this
I get on that
hilarious?
page?
I will let you know if it happens because I'm like, okay. So
I have
they're
one property that I could think of that Carl said was a good idea that I would like to throw in this bucket.
yeah. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. If you're sending me a real check, you're trusting me, then
Hmm.
I'm gonna not just cash a check and then go dark on you too. So I'm
Yeah.
like, this is not what we
That's so
teach everyone,
odd.
by the way, obviously, because
No,
I'm a little shocked by it.
I
So
am so
I'll let you
shocked.
know. And then so I wrote my transaction coordinator back a note and I'm like, do you have any red flags here? I'm like, is this money laundering? I'm like making sure. Am I not picking up on stuff? She's like, no, I think it's good. But she's like, I don't know if it's going to show up too. So we're waiting to see. This will be really interesting.
Well, keep me
So
updated because that is
I
so
will.
weird.
It's the weirdest, funniest thing. So, okay, there you go.
Even
But
worse.
there's stuff out there, but well, I guess my point was even Sam and I know that, there's other people have caught on.
Hmm.
Um, our Land Academy community is not that big. And within Land Academy, even our real heavy hitters, there's not a lot of us. So,
Yeah.
and sadly, I'm watching people kind of get discouraged and not stay with it and fall out. So it's going to be really interesting in the next year or two how many of us are here doing it, but we're not worried. And I know our Land Academy community is not worried. And we're always, you got Sam, you got me, you got
Mhm.
Jack, you got everybody here. Carl, we're all staying on the forefront, keeping our eyes on what's coming. And Jack and I have been doing this for decades. Jack more than me. We've weathered many storms. We know how to pivot,
Yep.
and whatever's coming at us, we'll pivot again. So helps me sleep great at night.
I totally agree.
Thanks. Well, thank you, Samantha. It was fun to spend some time with you again this week. And I hope you guys have a great week. And I can't wait to hear about some of the deals coming back from your most recent mailer and how that all shakes out. So
Yep. We'll definitely keep you updated. And thanks for having me.
thank you. All right. Have a good one, everyone.
Bye.
We hope you found our content valuable and we appreciate your support. If you have not already, please check out our channel and hit the subscribe button.
And your comments and suggestions help us to create the content you're here for. Hitting the like button helps to support our channel's algorithm and gauge your interest for future shows.